Driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
I have really exciting news for folks. Joining me in studio today, hello friend, how are you doing today?
Hey,
it's Dwayne Kennedy's back. I'm so excited. Guest co-host. Well, Joan told you already too, so it was on the schedule, so people could know. But it's just so much fun to people love to hear your voice, Dwayne Kennedy.
Okay.
We've missed you.
No, I missed you all too.
Let me run down the sponsors before we get started, because I think there's a new one even since you've been here, maybe. We want to thank our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar and make an appointment. Perhaps a time for you to get solar panels on your house or business.
Oh, that's
source.solar. I know. We did an interview with them and everything last month. And we have another one coming up on April 14th. Yeah, that's right. Or the 14th. They'll be back here in a couple of weeks.
All right.
Talk about that. We have also today and tomorrow, the last couple of days of March, we want to remind you that March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month.
Hold on. What's that number, Patty?
If you or someone you love is struggling with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or areyourreallywinning.com. And we'll be having more conversations with our friends from the way back in the weeks and months to come. We were up in Madison broadcasting live from the Monaco Brewing Company tap room.
Oh, man.
And that was a lot of fun. So I want to thank our sponsors there. Go to MonacoBrewingCompany.com. I did not have a piece. I usually write a Monday column for them. But Kirk Bankstead, the fearless leader of the Monaco Brewing Company, had a lot to say about Musk. So we can go right into the story about how Kirk put out a piece. He's the owner of Monaco Brewing Company. And he wanted to do a citizen's arrest because what Musk did in offering $1 million to voters is illegal. And the attorney general filed charges. The circuit judge allowed it to go through. Do you know the trajectory of this? Where Musk put this post up saying he was going to give away $1 million to two people at an event yesterday in Green Bay?
Right.
And they took it down.
Yes, because they called him on it.
Yeah, they called him on it.
Yeah.
But then he said, but it's not for voting. It's for being the spokesperson for the petition to vote against leftist, woke agenda judges and things like that.
Yeah. That was a lot of walking through a maze to explain that. Although I have to be honest with you, Patty, I was driving up to Wisconsin.
I mean,
$1 million. Wait a minute.
I mean, Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but I don't think people like you or me, not even just based on my last name and perhaps your appearance, are the kind of people that they were giving that check to.
Right.
One was a guy from one of the super PACs, or like a PAC in Wisconsin, so like one of the Republican organizations. So, and I don't know about the woman, but the woman made a video after she was given the big, Ed McMahon check. She said I did everything that Musk told me to do. I signed the petition. I told my friends. I voted. So that might be used, the part where she said I voted, meaning
as evidence.
As evidence.
Yeah.
So we'll see. If anything, but nothing. But Joan was talking about this in the last part of her show about billionaires who just like Zuckerberg and all the folks that are lining up to lick his boots and kiss his butt.
Right.
Like, how does this happen? Like, when is it ever enough? And you and I've talked about this because they are psychopaths.
Yeah, they're psychopaths.
Yeah,
they're psychopaths, and it's I'm bewildered and I'm not bewildered.
Right.
Like I said, that billionaires, why do you feel like you have to kowtow to this cat?
Right.
But it is because you're a psychopath and whatever you have, you don't feel it's enough.
Right. When is it ever enough?
It seems to never be. And it's so egregious that this particular person, literally the richest person on earth, feels incumbent upon to travel around to take money away and resources away from people, from poor people, from middle income people, just trying to live.
Yeah.
What's going on in your soul that you feel that the need and are compelled to do something like that? So obviously the money is not the issue for you.
No.
There's something going on. Something's damaged inside you.
Well, there's something bonkers about somebody who grew up in apartheid. Because he grew up in apartheid. And, basically his father said, that our lives changed and our way of life went away. Yeah, you mean where you couldn't exploit people or have people living in conditions based on their race, choking off resources of people. Like, your way of life, meaning you weren't going to be as rich as you had hoped you were going to be.
Right.
Like, your kid's walking around with emeralds in his pocket worth $24,000, $30,000. But as much as as it's all crazy to me that it's not just about the money for them, but I think it also is, because I think he sees the losses he's having now as still a stepping stone, whether it's his satellite contracts, more, machinery contracts, whatever. AI is his big thing. That's where he's going to make. I think he sees this like losing money as an investment to that, but having the idea that he knows how our government should run is all appalling and bonkers. But the people who cheer him on and are excited by it, Dwayne, that I don't get. I mean, here, like, to your point, working class people who are poor, people who are struggling, veterans, still all in on this.
Man, yeah, because they are the people that are going to suffer, that are suffering.
Yep.
And some of these people know that they're suffering right now, but they're so deluded or irrational that they think, well, this suffering is temporary for a greater good.
Exactly.
There is no greater good.
No.
This is the suffering on the way to more suffering.
It absolutely it is, and it's already starting to take its toll on a lot of communities. I have, since you've been gone, Dwayne, I have had my moments of there have been moments of joy where I don't like to see people suffer, but there's also a reflex I can't control. There was one town in West Virginia where a lot of people, 2,000 people, or maybe this is Virginia, West Virginia, but there's 2,000 people employed, federal employees, and so far 10% of those people have lost their jobs, and the town voted 72% for Trump, and they're just, and she's like, but I didn't think it was going to happen to me.
Well, that's what it is.
They when you vote and you know someone's going to hurt, you know you're going to hurt somebody else.
Yeah. And
you're voting to hurt somebody else.
Right. So now you're getting karma.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, if it could be compartmentalized, if the pain could be compartmentalized to those who voted for Trump is one thing, but you are evil at everybody's expense.
Yep.
You're dumb at everybody's expense.
That part. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And then there was another woman, I think she was in Michigan. She was interviewed. She knew that he was a liar. She knew he was a serial sex offender. No, she said because he promised that IVF would be free. That was why she voted for him. Now, not only is IVF not free, she was a federal employee who lost her job. And I couldn't stop.
Yeah. That's what you get. It shouldn't be what we get.
Right. And again, I don't mean to laugh because a lot of people are struggling, but there are farmers all over the country.
Right.
Because of USAID in Illinois, there was a program that was completely dismantled because it was for farmers to send produce, healthy fruits and vegetables, or mostly vegetables, to child care centers and schools. So neither the schools will be receiving those children who may not have access to fresh food, and the farmers, all $28 million gone.
Yeah. You have voted against your own interest, and you thought, like you said, that it was only going to affect other people, somebody else, maybe somebody black, maybe somebody brown, maybe a woman, maybe, but you did not think it was going to affect you. How you could compartmentalize that and rationalize that is beyond me. But you did, and now you see that it doesn't. It affects everybody.
Right, but I don't even know if they're seeing that it affects it. They're just mad. They're not even they're not even mad at him, some of them. There's a guy in Wisconsin. Went out for his honeymoon. His wife had come here on a green card, had overstayed the timeline of her green card, and when they tried to come back into the country, she was detained and sent to a facility. And he still supports his vote. This couple in Texas who had not vaccinated their child who died of measles. They said that it's okay. Still, they don't think you should take the vaccination because it's better to get the measles. It makes you stronger, and she's in a better place. That's all the stuff. So that's how much some people are able to, like you said, compartmentalize. Yeah. I wasn't wrong. This is absolutely the way things should happen.
Right.
That's how deep this is.
Yeah. And the percentage of those people, I don't know. I would imagine that there's a group, again, I don't know what the numbers would be, that might fall away, that might say, But there's certainly those who I call, they're goners.
Yeah.
They're goners.
But, right, some are gone. The people who are coming back. Now, Richard Chu has talked to some folks who are former MAGA, right? They had these conversations. And one of the things that they want us to do is not belittle what their choices were in the past. And maybe it's better we don't talk. Maybe we shouldn't be able to say it, because it's going to take me a minute to be cordial.
Right. You say, okay, don't talk, but can we do some slapping?
But that we and I get it. I get that. Like, it's just that we have to do all the work. This is like when after George Floyd was murdered, right? Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of allies and white people who were like, well, explain it to me. Tell me how. I mean, I'm not racist, but why do I have to be anti-racist? Like, and then it's again black people having to do all the work. Yeah, right? It's a lot of work. Like when I'm like, me too. Like people like that. People would ask me like, well, that doesn't really happen. Like guys who had sexually harassed me were like, well, I never really did. I had a former coworker ask me one day, like, and I'm like, you want me to, I didn't tell him, but I could have shown him all the texts where he called me like hottie and talked about my body and like, I have the receipts.
And he was asking you to explain.
No, he was asking me, I never treated you that way, did I? Like, I don't want to get into this conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of work.
Yes, and I get so sick of some egregious incident happens, and then people, it's always with the epiphany. Oh, I never realized. And then it's just it's an endless cycle of epiphanies and momentary, symbolic. I'm trying to remedy. It's not even a real remedy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's something symbolic, a gesture.
Right. Performative.
That's what it's theater.
I was looking for it one day too. I was looking for the word and I was very excited later.
Yeah. So, and then it's theater for a little while, like when George Floyd got murdered, and then the initiative, the DEI initiative with Target and some of these other stores.
It was performative.
Yes, it was. Right. And then after a while, you know it was not sincere, because here comes Trump and it's like, oh, we got permission to be who we always were. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're paying the price on that too.
Yeah.
We are hanging out with Dwayne Kennedy. I'm so happy to have you back. Dwayne Kennedy. Lady B, Dwayne Kennedy's back.
Hey.
She's
Lady busy? Can she hear us?
Lady B. Dwayne's back.
I don't think she can hear
Dwayne's back. We're so excited.
Hey.
She just got it out of hi, Lady B. We have him back. I'm so happy to have him back. Our phone lines are we can open up the phone lines if we're ready, whenever you're ready. 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278 is the number to give us a call. Do I need to fix this camera again? Because it's Monday. We always have to. Let me see if I can do this. Slide it over a little bit that way. I don't know if it's focused or not. Let's take a break here and continue our conversation with, I was trying to be on time. Okay, before we go to the break, since I have like 40 seconds, let me do a little bit of music. This means that I'm heading into a break, that I have 30 seconds to get to the break. Wow. We are now, Dwayne, drum roll, not really, but we are now on 1150 KKNW in Seattle, Washington. So we're very excited to join the alternative talk team there in the evenings. Yeah. And then later at 6 o'clock is still our friends in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Okay, that was one case short of making me nervous.
More in a moment on WCPT. You'll have to remember that when you fill in for me also. More after this.
The Randy Rhoads Show.
Oh, congratulations to the Fox and Friends weekend morning host, who's now our Secretary of Defense. He's a veteran, everybody. I know, I'm a veteran, too. I'm pretty sure I wasn't on any of Kamala's short list for any cabinet position. But, oh, my God, these pits, it's almost like... Well, there's a word for it. It's called patronage. Right here, right now on WCPT 820, weekdays 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning We always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
Or
and Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we drive it home. Joining me in studio is guest co-host Dwayne Kennedy, who has been absent for... have we seen each other since the inauguration day? When was the last time?
Man, Patty, it's been a minute.
Because I know you started touring in February.
Yes.
So I don't know if I've seen you since the inauguration. I was in New Orleans on inauguration day, during the inauguration.
Yeah.
I was in the World War II museum in the hallway of like the Allies and enemies as I got a ding on my phone that Elon Musk was giving the Nazi salute, which of course, you know, now everyone wants us to know that's not a, and then freeze framing like Democrats with their hand in the air, like their extended arm waving.
Yeah.
Not a video, no videos of it, but we have the video of him doing it once, not just once, but twice. But at any rate, I'm just trying to think of when I last saw you. You started touring with Kamau in February.
February 13th was our first show.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how's it been?
It's been good. February 13th, we opened at the Kennedy Center. And
then what happened after that?
Well, Patty, Trump had taken over. I don't know if you heard. You know, Donald Trump knows everything. I don't know if you knew that. And he also knows like programming and scheduling and act. So yeah, he had taken over the Kennedy Center. I don't know if it was the day of. It was within days.
Oh, so it's because of you guys.
Yes. Yeah, we pushed him over the top. Like, who's on the schedule? No, I got to take this over. No, we got to get Lee Greenwood in this.
Because now they're going to be doing like Johnny Cash tribute nights is about pretty much.
Yeah, every night.
Every night.
Yeah. So.
Which would not, I mean, Johnny Cash, if you're going to pick one, is not that bad.
No, he was good. Johnny Cash had I think a black wife at one point.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, whatever that means. I don't know. Thomas Jefferson, anyway.
Yeah,
listen.
Strom Thurmond.
Strom Thurmond.
I mean.
What a hypocrite.
I mean.
Yeah. Hypocrite and also dude.
Dude.
Yeah, dudes. Dudes are.
I see what you're saying. They put it anywhere.
Yeah. I'm appalled, but I'll see you tonight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You disgust me.
Yeah, and
open wide. At any rate.
You disgust me, and disgusting's my type.
Yes.
Yeah. So. I'm not sure exactly when it was, but it was days within Trump having taken over and us having to do the show.
Oh God!
And Kamau was already on the plane from Oakland to fly to D.C. So by the time he landed, all this was happening. But he didn't want to cancel at that point.
No,
because we sold it out. I mean, 1,500 people.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did that feel? I might have done the shows before, but isn't it nice every time?
Yes, it was cool. It was, and the crowd was very receptive, and it was
needy. Were they needy?
Yeah. All you had to say, I just open with Donald Trump is a psychopath. Yeah, that's true. I love you. Yeah, and so it started. The tour started good, started strong, and we've since been in San Diego. We did an actual comedy club in San Diego. Yeah, mic drop. If you ever have a chance, Patty.
Okay, mic drop. Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay.
I tell people they treat you so good it makes you suspicious. Yeah.
Like you might be being prepped for something.
Yeah,
okay.
like prepped for the check being short.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
No, but it's nothing
That's
like
funny.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we just did New Orleans last Thursday. So.
Oh man, where'd you play in New Orleans?
We played the Joy Theater.
Nice.
Yeah, you know that place?
I don't, but the Joy Theater sounds really nice.
It was joyful. Yeah, and then Kamau's family came to see him because they're not too far away.
Cool.
His dad stays in Mobile.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right.
So
we have from Mark from the 385 says, "You have the best friends, Patty. Awesome that Dwayne is back."
Oh man.
I don't know if you want to hear the next one. Thank you so much much for having Dwayne on again. That's how much enthusiasm I hear it. I am really going through some things, as I say, with MAGA destroying the world, but I get a much-needed laugh thinking back on Dwayne's tinfoil Halloween costume story he told us way back in October. I think of it often. For those who were not here, because I was not here, I believe you were on with Adam when you told. So I will say this. I was in and out and listening, and I'm like, what's, and then people were texting me about it. I don't know the tinfoil story. I will say, I'll let you think about telling this story again and launching back into it, because I love when you and Adam fill in for me. I have to figure out when you guys have availability to do that again. Because I just started my book, Chicago Girl, and I was laughing because it was because of Adam laughing at the names of some of the shady people in Chicago. Remember, he was telling you about Quarters Boyle, right? And his brother Matches, so who both used to babysit for me, which Dwayne was, which Adam was like, what? So it's at the beginning of my book, because I'm like, oh yeah, that is a good story.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
So you and Adam were filling in October. Now, were you guys talking about like making your own Halloween costumes when you were kids? Or
I think, we were talking about Halloween and then got on the subject of, I guess, trick-or-treating, and then I was telling him, that when I was a kid, I didn't have a costume. I only think I was going to go out, and I decided to go out, and I just got some tinfoil and molded it to my face and wrapped a house robe around my head.
Okay.
That was, I don't know what I was supposed to be.
But you obviously made holes for your I don't know how committed you were to just being tinfoil face.
Yeah, I had some holes, and it was...
were you hot? Was it like your face? I don't like if it's enough room, because tinfoil can also be cooling, I would imagine, because
I can't remember, Patty. I remember being able to breathe. I don't remember getting much candy.
No.
You know what? I don't know if that's true, because I think some people just said no. And then some people are like, oh, man.
No? Like, they dismissed your costume efforts?
But then some people are like, oh, look at you.
Trying.
Yeah, you're trying tinfoil on the face. Here's some extra candy.
But it could look cool. I was just trying to imagine how, like, you could, like, now I feel
to be honest with you, Patty, I would actually do that again.
I would, too. I'm curious now if for Halloween this year will be tinfoil. Yeah. Will be TV dinners.
Boom! Where were you when I needed you? We're at the meeting, at the creative meeting. Oh, that's what I could have been.
Right. Tinfoil dinner.
Yeah. You could be mashed potatoes, I'd be meatloaf.
There you go. But you have, or I could be a brownie, because then there's always corn accidentally in the brownie.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, it always jumps over. You're like, how did that get?
And yet it was still delicious.
Although the only problem would be, we can't be Swanson's TV dinners, because that's Tucker Carlson's family, so we have to figure out a different. But they were
what?
That's where their family made all the money.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh no.
We
could be Banquet.
Banquet was like the off-brand one too.
Yeah. Right.
I think that Banquet's mashed potatoes were actually better.
Banquet had some bangers. Yeah.
Let me now I have to double check my thing on Tucker Carlson's Tucker.
Wow. That's how they made their money.
I'm pretty sure that's how they made their money.
Swanson TV, the Swanson Food Company.
Does family own the Swanson? Does his family own it? Oh, it's false. Hold on a second. Patricia Swanson, who married Tucker Carlson's father when Tucker was 10 years old, is an heiress to this is the context. It's good that I check out Snopes, because people would be texting me furiously saying that Patricia Swanson, Carlson's stepmother is Patricia Swanson, who married blah. This is going to take me a while. Blah, blah. I just need yes or no, Snopes.
Who is Snopes?
Snopes is where I go for checking out stories.
Is that a new service?
No, Snopes has been around there for a while. But a lot of people say it's more left-leaning, and I don't really have a problem with that.
Okay, I never heard of Snopes. Oh, no, that's Wesley Snipes, I was going to say.
I don't know. I have to take a look. Someone can text me the quick answer, because it seems like... it looks like they have family ties to the Swanson empire.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm. Tucker Carlson has an estimated net worth of $370 million.
What? Okay, again, this is baffling. People who are that wealthy and yet that hateful. Mm-hmm. That is, again, then there's something broken inside of you. Because I don't know about you, Patty, but, man, I would be a great rich guy.
I mean, right?
You know what I mean?
These are the things.
Yeah. I'd be giving money to folks and all kinds of stuff.
Did you see that in the wake of everything, folks are boycotting Walmart, Target,
Yes.
my Amazon bill has plummeted. It's not automatic for me anymore. Like after they wouldn't, write the opinion piece on whether it should be Harris or Trump for the election. Remember, Bezos said we're not going to do any endorsements or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of slowed down. It was Christmas time, and so now I'm finding other ways. But no, I don't automatically order anything from Amazon. Anyway, Costco is going to not only do they continue DEI, they don't care what the national stuff is going on.
Right.
They're raising their minimum wage for workers to $30 an hour.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Their business hasn't, they've, since the boycott, I think they've made an additional $7 billion.
Yeah, they're doing it. Let's take a break here and talk more when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 Seattle, Washington. Alternative Talk. Very happy to be on your team. More in a moment.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
County continues to get out the vote and elect progressive candidates, so it's no wonder that there are now several local retailers carrying progressive beer from Minocqua Brewing Company. Be sure to grab yours from Famous Liquors in Lombard, Arminetti Beverage Mart in Roselle, Doty Liquors in Elmhurst, and Bobby's Liquor Warehouse in Carroll Stream, conveniently located next door to the DuPage County Democratic Office. A full list of Illinois locations that offer the Resistance lineup of beer is posted at the top of the Patti Vasquez Show Facebook page, as well as at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. And joining me in the studio is guest co-host, comedian, writer, producer, Emmy Award winning for United Shades of America on CNN. Dwayne Kennedy joins us.
Yeah.
And you are going to be at the Den Theater on April 25th, not 26th this year.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
You asked me if I could.
I asked you if you could fill in the 26th.
Did you get another gig?
I have my nephew is doing a show in Chicago. He's coming from Michigan, and he asked me. I said, "Yeah, I got to do it."
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, because if you recall, there was a point I was asking if you could work on a show with me that I'm doing that night. I'm booking another show on the 26th for a fundraiser.
Where you gonna be?
I can't remember. You and I, the perennial terrible self-promoters that we are.
Right.
So where are you next before the Den in Chicago?
I'll be at the Count Basie Center for the Arts in Red Bank, New Jersey.
Nice.
April 18th. And then I'm going to be doing my show with Steve Solis, who often calls in, the Steve and Dwayne Comedy Fiasco at Crepes on Columbus in New York City, April 19th.
Okay, one of these days I got to go out to New York and do that. If I can,
You got to, Patty.
That'd be fun.
You got an open invite.
All right, then.
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, sweetie, I'm going to New York at some point. He's like, okay. Well, he said I don't respect the calendar, so I have to be mindful about when I say I can go places.
Yeah, I get that too.
It's a little rough. So you also now have a new podcast. Tell folks about this.
Well, Patty.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because, now you can't just do comedy, right? You got to have 18 million other things going on. So I have a podcast that oh, man.
Oh, Dwayne has started a new podcast. I'm going to give him a chance to get to put your hands up. Put your hands up. And it's just.
Okay.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you want a sip of water?
No. Okay. It's just a little, I'm just inhaling a little of the asbestos in the room. But
who was here over the weekend? I want names.
Yeah. So I'd been thinking about doing this for some years. And I just decided, I'd been telling people, I'm going to do it. And people are like, well, when are you going to do it? So now I've done it. We released our first episode about a month and a half ago. It's called The Napsolute Truth.
The Napsolute Truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. And folks can find this wherever they listen to podcasts?
Yes, and you can see it on YouTube, and it's on Apple, and it's on Spotify, and I have to get all the places it's available.
All the things.
Yeah, all the things.
The Napsolute Truth.
Yeah.
NAP, salute.
Yes.
True.
Yeah. Me and a dear friend of mine, Tammy X.
Okay.
Yeah, well, she's the co-host.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And how long is the first episode?
How long?
Yeah, because I'm curious about these things. Because Rogan will do 4-hour podcasts.
Oh yeah, no, it's not that long. I think it's about 45 minutes or something like Yeah. I'm not trying to do 4 hours.
Yeah, but someone told me, like, no, the young people like to listen to long-form podcasts. I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, maybe they do.
I guess.
But I'm not interested in talking for 4 hours. I don't know what you can listen to.
Well, we don't get that stoned. That's part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, when you're so everything's cool and interesting when you're stoned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone just texted, boycott the big box entities. They pay little or no tax paying the TIF game. They don't give back to local economies or people. When was the last time you saw their advertising at a Little League field? Oh, yes. Support the people that advertise at your Little League fields. Like your pizza joints. A lot of, like a lot of kids have their teams are sponsored by. It's usually your neighborhood pizza joint, like Paterno's. I know they always sponsor teams. Your local bank, smaller banks and things like that. Your local dentists. DDS.
Right. Yeah. Support Fred. Exactly. Fred the dentist.
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, if you have some stores, we've always tried to do this, and I know that I put the word out there. If you own a small business you want people to know about, you can text me. You can email me. My email is pattyhappens@gmail.com. That's PATTI. But yeah, I've been trying to stay as local. There's an app and a website called GoodsUniteUs.com, and that tells you how much money people donate, how much companies, big companies, and even like celebrities, if they tend to donate money to conservative organizations or to Democrats. So I've been going by that.
Okay,
and it helps. I mean, it's not great because it also has Amazon in there, so it's not necessarily also their policies.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? The policies and the way they treat workers.
Right. And sometimes, I mean, you can't avoid dealing with some of those people. Like, I shop at Aldi's because it's cheap and I know where it's at. And for a minute, they said that they were a part of they were still participating in DEI. And then I heard that they changed their minds. But then here's a curious thing, and I don't know if it's still true or if it was ever true, that Trader Joe's is still part of the DEI initiative.
That's my understanding. Yeah.
But Trader Joe's and Aldi's are owned by the same company.
Well, I think they're like brothers that like had a falling out, though. It wasn't like the same family.
Okay, maybe something like that.
This is where I have to start Googling again.
Okay.
I'm trying to see.
And they're German, I believe.
I believe so too.
Yeah.
I don't live. I mean, I'm not too far. They finally opened one up in Portage Park at Milwaukee. Cicero, that Pulaski, up over by there, and it's still hard to get to for me, so I'm not really close to an Aldi's.
Okay.
It's like convenient, But there also aren't that many neighborhood grocery stores anymore.
No.
There was one right down the street. There's Andy's Deli down the street here, but I feel intimidated when I go in there because if you don't speak Polish, I feel like they're not as nice.
Oh, really?
So it's just one of those things. Hey, it's a for you, by you, I guess. That's fine.
Yeah, Man, and if you don't feel comfortable in there, they will never see me. I just kind of feel like if I don't What's Polish? What's Polish for I don't speak Polish?
No idea.
Polska or something?
And I've lived in this neighborhood my entire life. It's just certain places are a little more intensely that way. And some groups are like that.
Absolutely. I mean... Yep. Absolutely. I was telling somebody, people were talking about sundown towns in America. I said, Chicago has sundown neighborhoods.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard to explain, folks. I had an Uber driver the other day, and I don't know if she's listening. She was very sweet. She grew up around here. I was telling her I had gone to the same grade school that she went to, Onahan, and I was saying that in the 70s, it was bad. I mean, I was the only Mexican kid in my class and in most of the school, and that they used to bully me, chase me home, and they would I told her that one time these boys held me down on the playground and force fed me garbage.
Oh,
I never told you this story.
No,
but I mean, so it was rough in the 70s and I was explaining to her how they had started desegregation in the 70s at the public schools here on the Northwest Side, including Taft High School, where they didn't want black kids coming and they were protesting, and then Onahan, where it was like kids on the playground would say things like, hey, get out of my way. We were born in the USA kind of mentality. The parents didn't want the black kids in their school, but when those kids would leave, then the only ones left that were dark, and I was darker when I was little.
Okay,
I'll have to show you a picture, but it's hard to explain for some reason. It's moisture and thing.
Yeah. That happens. I mean, when my sister, when she was born, she had in the opposite way. She had blonde hair. You know, so I mean,
oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I was lighter, and so I was telling my driver about this, and she wasn't familiar. She'd gone to the same school, but like in 2000 or whatever. You know, I went in 1977.
Right.
Was when I started, and I said that it was just it was rougher for me, and she didn't know much about Chicago's history, and I said, you know, we have Black Flight in Chicago. I don't know how we got on it, but I apparently was in the mood to feel like I needed to enlighten somebody, which I'm sure she was annoyed by or bored by. But I was talking about, you know, you think about it. Like there are very few black people that live in our neighborhood still to this day. There was a lot of Black Flight, and I've often thought that I would move too. If I was at the age of 54, probably in my 30s, I wouldn't want to raise my kids in a community that never invested in the schools or any of the businesses or any of like the community services. Especially when I was 5 years old, they would take me. You have to get up at 5:36 in the morning to get on the school bus to sit in traffic for an hour from the south and west sides of Chicago. Go to a neighborhood that's clean and safe, and they tell you, well, you can't live here. You can only come and visit here. We don't want you here.
Right.
Why would you stay in the city of Chicago?
Right.
When you're 30?
Yeah.
I mean,
and then the whole thing is, if there were the proper resources allocated, you wouldn't have to do that in the first place.
No.
That's the whole issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That was the whole thing. That was okay. Like how the Blue Line stops at Jefferson Park. I don't know if you're familiar with the Blue Line, but it goes all the way to O'Hare Airport.
Yeah, I used to go to O'Hare on the Blue Line all the time until I stopped.
Until it got a little.
Well, but
no, because it goes from Jefferson Park to Harlem. There should be a stop at Nagel, where there's a high school right at the top of right there, but they didn't want to have that kind of access to other communities in the middle of Norwood Park.
Right.
Yeah. There was
black folks.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always racism and sexism are always the underpinnings of most moves that are made in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that it's weird. Let me get to a phone call. I feel it's funny because we haven't even talked about race and gender in a while because there's so much happening. But we got here because of really just hatred for somebody else. Like when we started talking about how a lot of folks voted for Trump thinking, well, it wasn't going to hurt me. It's going to hurt trans people. It's going to hurt black people. It's going to hurt women who want to have abortions.
Right.
And that's what they voted for, was to hurt those groups of people. And I am so frustrated and fed up with people like Gavin Newsom and Rahm Emanuel who are out there saying basically we should just trash human rights because I don't want to hear about bathrooms anymore. But we're not the ones talking about bathrooms. We're defending people who just want to have dignity and respect. It's human rights.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
Anyway, Jim in Chicago is calling. Jim, Dwayne Kennedy's on. Hey.
Good to hear you, Dwayne.
Oh, you too, man.
This is colonization in the United States of America. It's done by Silicon Valley, the technocrats who want to control the internet, the people who own the internet, and the information they're suppressing throughout the United States to make workers out of us in the future. Yeah. Because they've decided that they have a better plan for the United States than the United States people do. But any colonizer knows when you've been colonized, they use their might. They use whatever thing is necessary to enrich themselves, of course. And this is what they're attempting in the United States of America, which is incredible on its face. But let me just talk about Eleanor Musk. I call her Eleanor now, Ellie for short. But his father came on the radio, or came on about a week ago and said, oh, he treated his black servants kindly, his servants. Now, you look at the history of Africa, those are Dutch people that colonized Africa, stole every nickel in the place, their art, everything. But this is what colonizers do. Yeah. And how long they could get it, but the nutty part about this is people they're not getting their information from a source that's credible. No. You look at who's the girl that's denying information across the world? Katie, the one was in Arizona, the nut that ran for Congress.
Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake.
Yeah, that nut is in charge of information, believe this or not, around the world. 84 years we've been, talking democracy around the world, hoping that people would come to the conclusion that democracy is the best thing. She said, no, it's not. No, it's not. We're going to stop that. That's nonsense. What's real is the billionaires and the people over $400,000 a year. They're the ones who are going to tell us what democracy is. That's the nerve they have. That's the nerve they have.
I know.
Yeah, but go ahead.
No,
I know you're on a short leash.
I know you're on a short leash. I know. Can you hear my...
Yeah. And Dwayne, take care, Dwayne.
All right, Jim, you too. All right, good to hear from you.
Thank you, Jim. I didn't play my music. It was my fault for not giving the heads up. Let's take a break here. We're hanging out with Dwayne Kennedy in studio, right here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal 1150 KKNW, Seattle, Washington, the alternative talk station. Thank you for having me.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. Dwayne Kennedy joins me in the studio. Emmy Award-winning Dwayne Kennedy, who is now on tour with Kamau Bell. They both worked on United Shades of America on CNN, as well as Totally Biased on FX. All those things. I think you guys are trying to shine a light on things that were going on, and here we are.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Have you missed Roosevelt? Roosevelt's on the line.
Hey, Roosevelt.
Guys, thank you for taking my call. Dwayne, welcome back.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Hey, guys, I got a little bit of everything today as far as what you guys were talking about. First, Patty, you were talking about people that were being fired from their jobs 10%. And that's one of the subjects I wanted to mention. The fact that, these tariffs, they're supposed to add jobs.
Yeah.
But yet he's cutting everything. So how are the numbers going to square up with as far as jobs, okay? And aren't we at 4%, which is practically, closer to zero than it is to 10? So that's one of the subjects I want to talk about. Another one, Dwayne, you were talking about voting against their own interests. I'm afraid that part of it is exactly what you said, Dwayne. What drives a lot of these people, and I say a big percentage, is hate. Mm-hmm. They don't care if they harm themselves,
right.
as long as the brown people, as long as the black people don't get that, the food stamps and all of that. So they don't care if they're in it. And even though, like you guys always mention, the southern states are the ones that cash in more as far as the social programs. Mm-hmm. And another thing, and I'm going to finish here with this. Burgum, Secretary of the Interior, wants to put up Trump's head up on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know what you guys thought about that.
I mean, they haven't finished Crazy Horse yet, so they could put Trump on the horse's head. No, on the ass. He could be the ass or Crazy Horse. I want to make a movement to do that.
Yeah.
Or like just on a hoof or something like that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, thanks, Roosevelt.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. Let's get to Myrna. Myrna's on the line. Hey, Myrna, you're on with me and Dwayne Kennedy. What's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, I'm glad to hear that Dwayne is back. I was assuming that maybe he had gotten caught up in the ice raid. So he's back. I was reading this morning that, unfortunately, this is how you were talking about earlier, how bitter a lot of rich people are. They're now going after the Catholic Charities of Dallas. They were given information that the Catholic Charities is expected to turn over the names, addresses, and phone numbers of anybody that is receiving any help from Catholic Charities who is from El Salvador.
Oh, boy.
If they don't turn over the information, they will lose funding for their food pantry.
Wow.
They don't care who. Yeah, all of Dallas. So that's, several thousand, if not millions of people that are being affected by the ignorance and the hate of these people.
The hate, yes.
In our country. country.
Yeah.
And you're talking about Tucker Carlson, about how bitter people are. My theory, he was forced to eat frozen dinners for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He's part of that. And now he hasn't been able to get over that, so that's why he's so bitter. But it's true. Why are these people so damn bitter?
I don't get it. And like you said, and just that evil, and they are vigilant and diligent in their hatred, and thorough in their cruelty.
Yeah, they don't care who they take down. As long as they get the one, they might be looking for one person, and they'll take down 10,000 people just to get to that one person.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they feel proud about it, too, and they brag about it.
Right.
Yeah, so now we know boycott the Swanson dinners. No more Swanson dinners here.
Please, I haven't had one in.
I was gonna say
it's been a minute.
That boycott's a can do. I haven't had one of those babies since I was a kid.
I was gonna say ever since I found ramen noodles, I was done with.
Oh my God! He said, "Wait a minute, how can I raise my blood pressure?"
I can get this for 19 cents.
Oh, yeah.
That was great in college.
Yeah.
I put some frozen corn
That's like
in there.
salt with some noodles in it. Isn't it? Yeah.
Some carbohydrates. Thanks, Myrna. Good to hear from you, my friend. Have a great evening. Take care. You too. Let's get to Seattle. Paul, now I'm on in the evening with our Seattle listeners. You're on with Dwayne Kennedy and I. What's going on?
Yeah, you guys are on KKNW now.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, I still like listening to it on streaming on WCPT.
Yeah, it's a little bit earlier than what I'm on in overnights.
Yeah.
I'll take whatever I can get. I'm grateful for it.
I like what Dwayne said. He said, okay, so Tucker Carlson, he's the Swanson frozen food empire fortune or whatever. And when Dwayne said, what's with the ultra super rich? Why do they have to be so angry and ugly?
Yeah.
It's like, haven't you got enough? Or you're so afraid you're going to lose that, it's like, and then you got Elon Musk, he's actually never done anything in his life.
Right.
He's
productive. He's pointed at things and said mine, and I made that.
Well, I mean, he inherited all his wealth, like Donald Trump. He inherited his wealth from his father's emerald mine in South Africa. So you know that all of that work was done by people of color in an apartheid country.
Correct.
All of the rich. So he's entitled to be this, and then he just buys things up, mine, and then runs it into the ground because it's just this play toys. And here's the other thing, is that Elon Musk has his own personal underground bunker.
So does Zuckerberg. A bunch of them, they've been building. A lot of them have, and just recently they've been building.
Some in Hawaii.
Yeah,
right?
I think even Oprah has been doing this too. She's been buying up a lot of land in Hawaii.
But here's the thing. If Oprah's doing it, Oprah, I never was, I never was really that big of a fan. I never
Me either.
Me neither.
Out of money. Well,
I wanted to be Oprah.
You can apply this to Oprah. You can apply this to Elon. If you think that with all of your money, and I mean, Elon's got probably even more than Oprah.
Yeah.
But with all your money, you think that you're so afraid that you think that with all the power you have, that you're projecting this would be the outcome, that you need to go into a nuclear bomb shelter? And then when it's over, what the hell kind of world do you think you're going to emerge back into and say, okay, let's just pick it up where we left off? I mean, how delusional are these people? Yeah. Well, I mean, unless you're planning on just living underground until, for the rest of your miserable life. But, the whole thing is, I think that, we don't need to look any further than, 1 Timothy 6:11 is the love of money is the root of all evil, and that's exactly what they're projecting.
Well, Paul, that's what I was about to say, is that, and we've talked about this before, in order to accumulate billions of dollars, you have to take billions of dollars in labor, in shady deal. You have to be, this goes back to being a psychopath. In order to make that much money, to consolidate that much money, have that kind of passive income, and not put it to good, you have to be a psychopath. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you inherit it and still do good things, I mean, I know that we have exceptions, but it seems
right. And that because billionaires have become, it used to be millionaires that prospered well, but to be a billionaire, you have to be a government grifter, because this is the whole thing about the right wing, is that what they use government for, and they love government. They love the power of government to collect tax revenue, which they then will turn over to themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, I mean, you look at, and I was just thinking, the most disgusting thing from last week at church yesterday was the father was talking about disgusting things. And I said later, I'm disgusted most days, but this week was pretty bad, because when you have somebody like, how morally bankrupt is Krista known to go down to this torture prison in El Salvador and strut her stuff in her slinky little dress and her high heels and her Mar-a-Lago facelift and her $500,000 Rolex watch.
Yep. Yeah, it's grotesque. I've got to run to the break. Thank you so much for calling, Paul. Have a good one. Let's take a break here. We'll continue our show in just a moment with Dwayne Kennedy. Joining us in a moment will be Jen Zanotti, all things Gen Z, after this on WCPT at 20 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 Seattle, Washington.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Get home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. Joining me in studio is our good friend Dwayne Kennedy, who's been on tour with Kamau Bell. They've been in D.C. and New Orleans. They're heading to New Jersey, you said?
Red Bank, New Jersey, the Count Basie Center for the Arts.
Excellent. And here in Chicago on April 25th, he'll be at the Den Theater with Kamau. And then on April 26th, where are you performing then?
I will be at Reed's.
Reed's, excellent.
You know that place?
I don't.
I think it's on Belmont.
Excellent.
Something with my nephew.
We'll get more information as we get closer to the show.
Yeah.
We want to thank all of our sponsors for making these conversations possible. We want to thank Source Solar. Go to source.solar. Make an appointment and see if it's time for you to put solar panels on your house or business. We also want to thank our friend Kirk Bankstead at Minocqua Brewing Company. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and catch up on all the stories he's been sharing about his efforts to have Elon Musk arrested in Wisconsin yesterday. He was not successful, although just that cheesehead hat alone should have been...
Boy.
And
why does he insist on jumping?
Oh, my God.
He's got a no-inch jumper. He's got no hops.
No hops.
Jeez.
And thinking of the way back in, we have been having conversations about Problem Gambling Awareness Month of March. Go to areyoureallywinning.com or call 1-800-GAMBLER if you or someone you love is dealing with a gambling problem. We want to say hello to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, and KKNW 1150 Seattle, Washington. Thank you all for having us and joining us on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. Before we get to our regular guest every Monday, our positivity expert, Jen Zanotti, I wanted to make sure I get to Max's call, so we're not making you hold on too long. You're calling from North Carolina. I want to hear what's on your mind. Max, you're on with me and Dwayne.
Oh, hi. So I do not like Trump. I voted for Cornel West. I think we as Americans need a new direction. I don't see any change. And people, I don't watch the news, but I do read the statistic. And according to the statistic, abortion has not changed. The amount of children has been going up steadily for the last 15 years. Unemployment, how people say it's 4 point whatever, it's actually because a lot of people quit looking for work.
So, Max, let me get to this. Since I have another guest on the line, you're happy with the way things are going and satisfied with your vote then?
No, I'm not. But I do not want to go back to the Democratic Party who didn't do anything different than the Republicans are doing. And people have to remember that Obama...
I don't agree with that. I mean, just the way we're slashing programs and making sure that veterans, people who rely on Social Security, programs on Medicare, Medicaid, those are all things that have been absolutely decimated by the programs that Doge has come in. The Doge bags have come in and actually taken on a chainsaw too. I've got to get to our guest. Thank you so much for calling, Max. Maybe when we have a little more time, we can get into a longer conversation. But that sounded like you had a lot on your mind.
Yeah.
And starting with voting for somebody who doesn't show up for anything else. I mean, if Cornel West wanted to be a leader, where is he now?
Yeah.
I have the same question about Kamala Harris. But I'm just saying, where are they right now? Where are they giving us direction, or saying, at least Tim Walz is out there going to red districts? Okay, you know what I need. You know what I think we need before we join. I think we need
Oh man!
Right, a little. Because Jen Zanotti can help us take a deep breath.
Okay.
Jen Zanotti, she's a jiu-jitsu
I love
expert.
that I get the Zen music all the time.
Because my left shoulder started going up towards my right, in my left ear. If it was going to my right ear, I'd be really jacked up. But I'm like, I didn't want to. That wasn't the. I was trying to see what was going on in North Carolina, but that wasn't quite. Anyway,
Yeah. That was North Carolina for you.
Feeling right now.
No, Max is usually. At any rate. Oh, someone just wrote, Jen Zanotti, you're on with Dwayne Kennedy and me. And I'm so sorry we didn't realize that Dwayne was going to be in your area. We should have connected you guys at least for the show.
Goodness.
I know. They were at the Kennedy Center of all places.
When were you here?
February 13th, we were at the Kennedy Center.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Okay. Yeah.
That'll be another time.
Shoulda, woulda. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Absolutely.
Maybe
Definitely reach
next
out.
time it'll be across the street from the Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
At the hamburger joint.
Nice. Well, we'll get you into the gym too. We'll have you come on over and do some.
You know what, Jen?
Some jiu-jitsu.
And these days and times in which we live, I got to take something.
Yeah. We want to feel like you're prepared, I think. We want to feel prepared.
Man, how has enrollment increased, and has the numbers of students increased since the election for you all?
It's interesting. We have February is always a good time for us. I think it's just like, after the New Year's resolution people, it's more so in January for us. I think is when people are like, there's a good uptick in membership. But, we've actually had, I think we're hanging steady, but we've had probably about 7 people now we've had to put on pause because they've lost their job.
Oh.
So out here, there's a lot of federal government employees. So a lot of people have lost their jobs. We put them on pause so then they can continue training. But unfortunately, I think it's, impacted more people negatively. So,
wow.
We're hanging steady. There's always new people wanting to come and try class, which is great. But for a lot of the people out here, that's a big base of our membership, or somehow kind of impacted by everything that's going on.
Does anybody ever say, "Hey, I'm just in training, so I can go down and try to get my job back"?
Yeah, right.
I don't know if anyone's used that, but.
Yeah, it's because DC. While we talk about federal employees that have been fired all over the country, DC is feeling a heavy weight of that. So I'm so sorry to hear that people in your community are struggling.
Yeah, we're right on the border. Like Tacoma Park, Maryland is, it's the DMV area, but everywhere is like Virginia, DC, Maryland. It's all kind of like 35 to 40 minutes apart. So we're all kind of in that hub.
Yikes. Yeah, it's a lot. Now, Dwayne and I are both performers. Dwayne and I have been doing stand-up comedy for over 30 years, and I don't know, Dwayne, do you have like do you set goals for yourself when it comes to like having material or having a new set? I mean, some comics are like, I'm gonna do something new every year, or
yeah, I don't do it so much like that, but I'm always writing, so it sort of like naturally evolves.
Right.
So, but I don't have like a set date for
goalpost or anything.
Yeah, not really.
But you did have an idea for a podcast. I mean, even though it took you a while, and this is something
everything takes me a while, Patty.
Right here back at you, because I've been wanting to write this book, and then I started thinking of all these different books I wanted to write, and I had to cut through all of that. You finally got your podcast up. I finally got my first chapter up of a book called Chicago.
Great.
It feels good. So I want to talk.
Amazing.
Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about that because saying you're going to do something like we both had been doing. Is only a part of the work, right, Jen? Like, how do folks who are setting those goals maybe avoid spending the years that Dwayne and I talked about our projects and set goals for ourselves?
Well, I think it can be very daunting, especially when it's a big goal of let me write a book, right? And this could be anything. a lot of people obviously set health and wellness goals. Maybe it's a career goal, whatever it may be for yourself, some kind of life goal. And big or small, but usually when it is something that's kind of like that, well, how am I going to just start writing a book? I think it really comes down to, and what I tell clients is to really kind of break it up. So if you can, look at what that long-term, goal may be, but then breaking it up by month, and then by week, and then by day of what you should be doing, like daily tasks, to weekly tasks, and then what are you accomplishing each month? How many hours are you dedicating towards writing each day? Maybe it's an hour a day, maybe it's 30 minutes a day. But if you can break it down like that into smaller steps, it's going to be way more attainable. And I think it sets yourself up to be able to accomplish something. You want to set yourself up for success instead of like one day I'm just going to sit down and try and write for 10 hours. Well, that's probably not as feasible with anybody's schedule. So I think really being able to look at and map out and write things, write things out, draw things out visually. But I think when you have those physical goals written down and the steps, and even taking out a calendar and looking at like, okay, this is when I'm going to allot my time. I think it all comes down to organization to really be able to be successful crushing your goals.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And there's actually for writers, there's a book, and I know I'm bringing it up and yet not following the same similar things that Jen's talking about. There's a book called Bird by Bird by Annie Lamott, and she talks about like, you think of like all these things you have to do. It's just one bird at a time. Sort of a thing, but she also talks about like putting it's like butt in seat, fingers on keyboard, or fingers on pen. But like she said, even if it's if it's 10 minutes, if it's like you said, if it's a half an hour, at least you're dedicating that time to it, and also when it becomes a habit is a big part of it too. When it, for me, like it took me a long time to be diligent about. This is so stupid, but flossing my teeth regularly.
No, everything is something though,
right?
Hey,
and now I can't go to sleep without. And that was in my 20s, but I just remember like not really paying much attention until I got like bad news from the dentist.
Yeah.
And now I cannot. Like it's painful for me to go to sleep without flossing my teeth. Like I can feel it. So if it's something that like almost aches, it almost aches to not have that part of your routine. Is kind of where you want to get to writing whatever it is you're working on, or whatever towards your goals. You like I used to work out regularly, and when I would miss a few days, like I'd feel it. Like stand-up comedy. I mean, there was a time when you and I could be doing comedy 5-6 nights a week. Yeah. Right. And so like when I wasn't doing, I'm like, I'm supposed to be somewhere else.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
you get into that routine. You set yourself up into that routine, and that's something then you like yearn for or need or, strive to make sure you're getting it done or crossing off the list each day. So I definitely think it is, incorporating that habit. But also you just accrue so much time. It doesn't have to take hours and hours of time when you're spreading it out over a larger time frame. And I think that's where we can set ourselves up for success more so than saying, I need to write a book in 2 months. Well, that might be a little bit challenging for some people. Maybe I need to set that up for like 6 to 9 months or a year and look at my timetable. Right. That way it's something that's more achievable and attainable, because I think we oftentimes set ourselves up with these goals that are not so attainable, and that's where we kind of, might experience failure, and then we can get down on ourselves or, just be in this space of, I can't do this, I can't accomplish this, but I think we need to be a little bit more realistic with our goals.
And I would say as far as fitness goes, would you say, what are some of the metrics you would recommend people measure that? Because people are like, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to be down to a size 4. Should it be more like realizing that your endurance, like you're able to walk longer, or you're able to do more push-ups, or you what are some of the things you would recommend for people who are taking care of themselves and trying to find healthier paths?
I definitely try and deter people from checking the scale all the time, just because especially as women, our weight can fluctuate so much. So, long periods of time, slow and steady, I feel like that's something that's going to be more attainable, and you can maintain and keep certain, weight off or health goals. You can attain them if you're doing it over a long period of time, and it's not just like, let me lose weight super fast, and then you're probably going to gain a lot of that back. So I'd say for people to kind of look at, if you are looking at the scale, maybe if you're losing 2 to 4 pounds a month, that would be like a healthy, amount of weight that you could lose. But there's so many other things to track besides the scale. So maybe you are building your endurance, maybe you are being able to go out and walk more and you're increasing your speed or your intensity. How are you feeling? How are your clothes fitting? Are you sleeping better at night? There's so many things that I have people look at, like how are you, they might not be as tangible, but it's how are you feeling? That's what we need to kind of look at and take note of. And then hopefully, weight or inches can follow with that as well.
Outstanding. I really appreciate it. And for folks who join us maybe just intermittently and wonder about these segments, I want people to take care of themselves because we need to get through this. We can't let it weigh you down every single day, but I know it does. So I'm just trying to find things that keep people motivated. That's why we have Motivational Mondays with Jen Zanotti.
Yeah, and not to be too grim or dark or pessimistic, but now, people are so now more blatantly everything offensive, and it's good to be in physical shape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If for nothing else, to be in better shape to run.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
wrong.
Yeah.
Just get out of the way.
Yeah.
Just get out of the way.
It's always very empowering when you feel strong and that you're in good health. So yeah. I think that's one of the best ways to empower yourself.
Outstanding. Jen Zanotti, allthingsgenz.com. Jen, it's always great to catch up with you on Mondays. I adore you. And apparently we're going to speak to your wonderful spouse about what's going on with the work that he's doing. As we mentioned, a lot of folks living in the D.C. area kind of finding some... I just read an article just while we were on break earlier. 2 in 5 restaurants in the D.C. area will be closing because the economy is going down so quickly with the loss of jobs. It's thousands and thousands of people who know. Yeah. And by the way, crazy. We'll talk more about that. That's not for Jen to. It is, and it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll pass it off to my hubby and talk about that.
Thank you, Jen Z. Allthingsgenz.com, folks. Find out about how she can help you accomplish your goals. Thank you, Jen. Have a great evening. I'll talk to you next week, my friend.
Thank you too.
Thank
you.
Love you too. Bye. Let's take a break here and continue our conversation. We're going to have Jay Ferrari on with Capital MMA and Elite Fitness to talk about some of the clients that have been struggling through all this and what his perspective is. More after this on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, KKNW in Seattle, Washington at 11:50 a.m. Alternative Talk, and AM 950 KTNF in Seattle. No, that one's in Minneapolis. We're hanging out with Dwayne. More in a moment.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or
and Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. In studio, we have comedian, Emmy Award-winning Dwayne Kennedy, who will be heading out to New Jersey at which room are you playing?
The Count Basie Center for the Arts.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And that's coming up
April 18th.
Excellent. He'll be at the Den Theater here in Chicago on April 25th with Kamau Bell. And they were just in D.C., and none of us thought to tell Jay Ferrari and his wife, Jen Zanotti, that you were going to be in town. Jay Ferrari, who's been on the show a while ago, he was in studio, and it was fun to have you on. I'm glad to have you back. How are you doing today, Jay?
Thanks, Patty. It's always a privilege. Last time there was beer, so I'm going to have one while we're talking now.
There you go. We always have beer in the fridge, thanks to Minocqua Brewing Company.
Okay.
Yep.
You're absolutely right. Delicious.
And tell us, so it's your facility is Capital MMA and Elite Fitness, right?
We're Team Tacoma. Yeah, we're the Tacoma Park branch of that. There's a few Capital MMAs in the D.C. area, and we own and operate Team Tacoma in the People's Republic of Tacoma Park, Maryland.
There you go. Now, how long have you been practicing jiu-jitsu?
Oh man, jiu-jitsu proper, 20 plus years, 21, 22 years. I'd boxed and wrestled before that, and then I got into jiu-jitsu. I think it was, it was like not long after 9/11.
Oh, really?
Not that correlation isn't causation, but not long after that, I took my first jiu-jitsu class and went from there. Just really got into it. Always enjoyed that kind of stuff, competitive and grappling and the martial arts, etc.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how old were you when you started getting into martial arts?
And that term, I don't know. I always
right.
You bristle when you hear it because then you picture like a lot of guys in silk pajamas making dragon claws and stuff like that. But I started, and I wrestled in high school, and then in club in college and stuff like that. And then, I think the earliest iteration. When did the first Rocky come out? Was that 76, 77?
Yeah, about 76, 77. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. I was a little guy, I would have been even 10 years old, and my dad came home. Remember in downtown Chicago, not downtown, it was like near north. Remember Maury Mages, the big sporting goods store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maury Mages, they had the commercials on and my dad, he worked down in the Loop, and he came back like the day after we all went to see Rocky. He came back home from work, and he bought 2 sets of Everlast boxing gloves for me and my brother. My mom was like, "Oh Jesus!" And then he proceeded to give us. He's pretty skilled in his own right. He kind of came up on the South Side and was always at the 111th Street YMCA. So he gave us some fundamentals, and we would move the couches out of the way in the basement and just basically wail on each other. And that's as far as that was the extent of my initial entry into boxing. He never really wanted me to train it. He didn't mind training. He's like, you can train boxing. He's like, but I don't want you competing in boxing. You can do anything. The workout, the best thing about boxing is the training, but to actually become competitive in it and fight, he just saw too many guys who got really punchy over the years. So he wasn't really, if I had really wanted to do it, I suppose he would have let us, but he didn't really emphasize that. But wrestling, he was all for. From there, the segue to jiu-jitsu was pretty straightforward.
Now, it sounds like you really like that you love the community of people who participate in jiu-jitsu. I mean, you and Jen have been connected, through jiu-jitsu in part, and then with other people, whether it's back here in Illinois or where you are now. And the atmosphere has changed. I read one of your articles on Substack about some of the federal workers who have been taking classes with you at Team Tacoma. Tell us a little bit about your perspective on what they're going through.
Oh, the impact is very real. I mean, and people, they tend to approach quietly. People have kind of a quiet pride or humility about them, but they'll come up and this has happened now probably at least half a dozen times in a couple of the households. Both the partners have lost their jobs. They're like, hey, I have to cancel my membership. We have to cut back expenses. My immediate response to that is, yes, we'll cancel your membership. No, you're not going to stop training. You need to keep coming in. We're going to get through this together. There's just too many good people who, dedicated, they train, and they're a great presence to have in the gym. So you want to keep those kind of people around. But you see the impact, and these are all good folks who do their jobs and do important jobs, and kind of, I think what I was getting at in that article I wrote in Substack was there's this perception of the federal employee, and I'm sure it's analogous. A lot of people would say that on a smaller scale. Somebody would say that about somebody who works for the city of Chicago, like, oh, it's a cake gig. You really don't have to work that much. Not the case at all. The people I know out here, they're all highly credentialed, very capable. They work really serious jobs that impact people's lives. I mean, I have a really good friend who's with USAID for years, and he was perpetually over in Africa setting up programs, education, and disease prevention, infrastructure. And I was having a conversation with him in the aftermath of this. He doesn't train at the gym, but he's just another friend of mine. within the next 10 years, 1.5 million people are going to die of AIDS in Africa because of the funding cuts to the programs that fought that disease in Africa. And I'm not okay with that. I think anybody with a conscience, I'm fine with my tax dollars keeping people alive. And, so other people I know, they work at NIH and, like I said, USAID, Center for Disease Control. People were just walking into their offices, marching people out. One of my good friends who does train, he's pretty high up the food chain at NIH, and he shared an anecdote with me last week. There's a woman who runs a little breakfast cart in front of one of the office buildings over there. I think it's over in Bethesda, where the NIH headquarters is. And she's just one of these hardworking. That she's from Central America or South America, and people come up every morning and they get an egg sandwich from her and orange juice. She's got a nice little cart she sets up every morning, and my buddy walks up to her, checking in on her, and she just looks at him. Says, "When's it going to stop?" And he said, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Well, I'm seeing all these people being walked out by police, by law enforcement, with boxes of their possessions from their office, and her business has absolutely taken a nosedive." I mean, the repercussions ripple through the community, and it's absolutely palpable. The people themselves who do these jobs are losing those jobs that affect people's lives. The people whose jobs are dependent on their presence, at those office locations and supporting industries around them, those businesses are folding, restaurants and washes and things like that. So, it's very evident here in this area.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that for folks. I mean, when you are experiencing that firsthand and seeing how it impacts people, it takes its toll. Jay, I have to run, but I want to thank you so much for your perspective, and I'd love to check in with you again. Tell folks about your Substack and where they can read your work.
Oh, yes. I mean, it's called Tumere Cogitationes, which is a pompous Latin phrase for random thoughts. And you can just look up my name on Substack, and it's Ferrari, like the car.
Jay Ferrari.
And take it from there. And I'm privileged. Thank you so much for the time. I hope everybody's doing great.
Yeah, well, we're hanging in there. I just ask people this. Are you hydrating? That's all I ask people now. Are you hydrating?
Doing the best I can.
Exactly.
And then and your guest who's with you in studio, remind me of his name again?
Dwayne Kennedy. Hopefully you guys get to meet when you and Jen are back in town.
Dwayne, tell Kamal Bell I said hi way back when at I can't remember the Q Club was a comedy club that buddy of mine and I
the Q Club.
Yeah, we did a couple sets at the Q Club back when Kamal Bell was doing his doing his Michael Jordan jokes. So tell Kamal I said hi.
That's amazing.
Oh, man. Okay,
there you go.
do.
All right, I got to run. I'll connect you guys. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. Thank you so much. I got
crazy.
trouble.
Hey, Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's Progressive Talk from TuneIn.
Hi, this is Patti Vasquez. We appreciate all our fans of Driving at Home, and your support of show sponsor Minocqua Brewing Company ensures that our important conversations continue right here on WCPT each weekday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can now find the Resistance IPA, Labor Lager, or the Resistance Pilsner beer at several Illinois locations, including Arminetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Pineapple and Company in North Riverside, Lions Beverage Depot in Arlington Heights, and MP's Liquor, Wine and Beer in North Aurora. For a full list of Chicagoland locations, please visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. As always, please vote and drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Just in case you weren't aware, Dwayne Kennedy's back in studio. Dwayne, everyone's very happy that Dwayne is back, and so am I. Apparently, I need to start to be a little bit funnier when I do things because people are like, "Oh, I needed to laugh." I'm like, "Oh, I think it's been grim." That's the thing. It's like just me talking. I'm like, "Ah!" It's what the
the thing about you, Patti, like policy. You know a lot about what's going on.
I know a little bit about a lot of things.
Yes,
that's the one.
Yeah.
A little bit about a lot. Not a lot about a little things.
I know a medium amount about one thing.
Well, because my day job, I am also so I work for the state of Illinois, And so I've been writing these memos on like what's happening with programs that are being cut, like Medicare, Medicaid, what the implications are of, dismantling the Department of Education.
Yeah, that was another thing.
Right. It's so many things. Oh my
God.
Firing over, 80,000 people in the VA.
Yeah.
30% of the federal workforce are veterans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service. Beat it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a lot. There is also, there was news a little bit ago that there was a judge that has blocked the administration's ability to enforce their trans ban in the military. Mm-hmm. So that happened within the last hour and a half or so. So that's some good news. There's been like 53 cases and they've lost almost all of them.
Right.
The press secretary can say, they're being targeted by these activist judges. No, you're doing bad things, which brings lawsuits that you are losing.
It's never what they do. It's always what people are doing against us. That's what it always is. It's never what Trump does. It's what people have done to him. It's always the persecution. I'm being persecuted. Really? What about the stuff that you do?
Right.
Never mind that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's some phone calls. Let me get some texts as well. Debbie's been on hold for a bit, just at the top. She's been on hold since the 6 o'clock started, I think. Hey, Debbie in Old Town. Good to hear from you again. What's on your mind? Are you staying hydrated?
How are you guys? Well, you always give us something interesting to listen to, so you don't mind being on hold.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. Thank you.
We were in Wisconsin. We were in Kenosha this weekend on Saturday. We talked to over 50 people and gave them all, the good stuff, and we did it for the Wisdems, and I think they're going to win.
I was in Elkhorn. I went door knocking again because I'm addicted, Dwayne. So we were in Elkhorn on exactly. I'm so glad you're going back. I'm glad we're keeping it up. I spent several weekends in Wisconsin. I was there last Sunday as well. My friend Adam Selzer and I went door knocking. I'm cautiously I'm nauseously optimistic.
That's a good one.
Yeah, me too.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that was my friend Ellen Holly said that to me. Go ahead.
Okay.
But I heard great things, from the people, great feedback, and it was really, that part of it was encouraging. So I'm going with it.
Okay.
Take a moment and enjoy it and go with it, right?
Yes.
Well, I wanted to, there's just one thing, Patty. I'm like a bobblehead doll when I listen to you. Yes, 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 yes. I love it. And yes, yes, yes. You made mention of something that really hit home for me today, and it was about Oprah. And I have to tell you, I model, and I've been on her show. I was on her show at least a dozen times, and I can't tell you about a more lovely human being than Oprah. She always came in before the show. We'd come in at 6 in the morning, and she would be like, oh, it's so early. She'd drag in to the model's room, no makeup, nothing, real natural, real normal, like a real human being. And she always made sure we were fed. You should have seen the spreads that she put out for us from her catering company, from the caterers. It was amazing. And she was just so real and so cool and such a good person. And people I know that worked for her loved her, including Matt, who works with you. I'm sorry, but I just took offense to that, and I don't know why.
Not liking. I think it's what's going on for me right now. What's happening in Hawaii and how much of that land that she's buying up and building a bunker at the expense of the working people in that area, and in addition to people like Zuckerberg and things like that. That's where I have concerns right now. If you take a look at some of the legal cases and how much of the land she's buying up, that's where I have. And look, I met Oprah when I was in an audience like 4 times, and I always had a blast. Those are, those kinds of things are not my issue, and the show or things like that. I think what's happening now is where I take issue. That I'm not a big fan.
Well, but how do you know what she's doing with that land? You don't know. You don't know if she's doing something. Oprah's a very, complex person, and she has a lot going on. And you don't know what she's doing with that. She's doing a lot of good things in her life, and I don't know. I don't think she's doing anything that's going to try and hurt people. That's for sure.
Okay, can I can I give my own person? And it was not Oprah directly. I just remembered that I was on an Oprah show. It's so funny that I mentioned I was in the audience. I actually had. Do you remember me, Kelly Howard? There were about 4 or 5 women. They were going to do a reality show. So this is not Oprah. This is Oprah separate. So it may be the cross-suck in my whatever. So it might be personal for me and not Oprah specifically. But they were shooting a reality series, and it was supposed to be a whole series. We signed contracts for it and everything. And so I was like kind of like the den mother of it. It did air. It was just like one episode. It was called My Life is a Joke. But they decided they didn't pick up again. This is probably just my own personal thing. So it might be, maybe I need to process through my own pettiness. I've told you I'm petty, Debbie. I've told you I'm petty. So they pulled me aside one day when we were shooting. And so like basically the concept was to follow 5 women in comedy in Chicago. And they pulled me aside and they're like, if you don't like somebody, they were trying to get us to be nasty to each other. And I always felt like if we had been nasty to each other, like that would have been more interesting and they would have picked up the show. But as it was, they shot us as a pilot, no. Like I said, I'm just saying that might be where I come from, and I need to let it go. That's all, Debbie.
Yeah, let it go, hon, because I'm telling you something. I know I've known her, and I know her, and everybody that's worked for her, from her makeup people to her hair people to, producers, they loved her. They loved her. They hated to leave the show when it was over, So you kind of look back at someone, and no one is going to go through life without some conflict somewhere.
Fair enough.
It's just life.
Well, I'm glad you get to share your perspective and your experiences. I'm glad that you have fond memories. The first time she used to shake hands with everybody that came out of the audience, Dwayne, and so she didn't every time, but I don't know if it was my second time. I always wanted to be there for like a giveaway. Dwayne, I was there for. So here's my favorite Oprah story. I was a grad student at Northwestern, and I was with a bunch of grad students, and one of them was a black woman in like I think she was she was doing art history and about black history and things like that. And so we're sitting next to each other, and the theme was women who think they're a catch but cannot hold on to a man. And it was like an editor from like Vogue magazine, and they had seats around her, like 3 on each side. One by one, they brought out her ex-boyfriend.
Oh man!
And I turned to my friend,
unbeknownst to her,
and I turned to my friend and I go, and each one is like more handsome. No, she knew. She gave them the information and had them like explain why she wasn't a good catch or whatever. So each one is more delicious than the last one that comes out, right? And I turned to my friend and I go, if I had dated these men, I would not go on national television and say they broke up with me. I would just have been happy to get a little taste of that, right? And my friend starts laughing. Oprah comes running over with the microphone and puts it under my friend's face, right? And my friend did like this thing, like the head shit, like the whole zip. She goes, I would have been happy to get a little taste of that. And she goes, Patty, that is the blackest I have ever been. And they used it on the highlights reel for the year. She was so mad. She's like, I've never even done it. She's like, you made me laugh. And then I got up and said the thing. I also was there when they had comedians on, Sinbad and a bunch of other comics. Dobie and I were there, and I had been sitting on my foot open, and she saw my hand up. She came over, and my foot had fallen asleep. I wipe out in front of the entire audience.
Oh, man.
It was not on camera. But at any rate, those are some of my memories about. Yeah, it was fun to go to her, but it was always like it was never a giveaway. It was just always those things. Thank you so much, Debbie, for sharing wonderful stories about Oprah. You have a wonderful evening. It was good to hear from you. I apologize.
I've got a bunch more, and I'm glad to hear some good ones from you. Yes. Thank you.
You're
Love
welcome.
you guys.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Yeah, because that was kind of in passing. We're in studio with Dwayne Kennedy. I'm happy to address those things. I can have mixed emotions about people.
Yeah, of course.
Let's take a break here and continue our conversation. We come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150 AM in Seattle, Washington, and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
The Sports Cubicle.
Here in WCPT, we're fortunate enough to have the new head coach of DePaul University, Chris Holtman. You have that tough December where you're going to have 2 conference games, and then does that seem like it's going to work for you? Are you going to be having up tempo, or do you even know that yet?
We are really trying to play with great pace, more so than really at any point in my career. That's something we've really emphasized since the summer.
The Sports Cubicle with Mike Mercado, Devin Tingle, Dan Marver, and Paul Shivari. Sunday nights, 9 p.m. on WCPT.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
We are in studio with comedian Dwayne Kennedy. He is on tour with Kamau Bell. They both were Emmy Award winners for so many shows. United Shades of America on CNN, Totally Biased on FX, and they'll be at the Count Basie Room, the Count Basie
Center for the Arts.
Center for the Arts.
Yeah, in Red Bank, New Jersey, April 18th.
And then back here in Chicago at the Den Theater on April 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I should probably tell people when I do shows, but I always forget. I don't know.
You do?
I know.
Come on,
I'm
Patty.
doing the same thing. I can't. I was going to tell you something that happened, and now I can't remember at the beginning of the show. I was like, I got to tell you about that later, but now I can't. Oh, so it actually goes with what I was saying to Debbie, is that I can be petty, and I've been realizing this. I started this on social media too, but it started with Jerry and I were traveling down to Indy. We did Crackers for the last time. Crackers Comedy Club has since closed, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Seemed like they'd be flourishing under the Trump administration.
Well, there's that. But we were. So I was telling him. I was talking about how I was trying to write material about how much I love horror movies. I like scary movies, ghost stories, and things like that. And I realized part of it, I kind of want to be a good ghost someday. Like I don't want to rush that, but I don't want to be like a scary ghost that get out, like say scary things and like write my name in blood or push people down the stairs. I want to get revenge on people who I really couldn't stand in life, but like in small ways. Like your socks will always be slightly damp, right? Like when you're about to fall asleep, you're just so comfortable, you're about to fall asleep, and all of a sudden you have to pee. That's me. Okay. Right? So it's just petty Patty. Like instead of Casper the Friendly Ghost, I'd be Patty the Petty Ghost.
Oh. All right.
But then I realized I like holding people accountable. It's not being petty, people are like, you should let go of that stuff. No, I pretty much need people to be held accountable. I need people to pay the price for bad behavior.
Whether in this life or in your next life.
Right. And here's the thing. I also realize that a lot of people, they may go too. But so I think that when people do things that annoy me, I also want to haunt them. Like people who don't slow down in school zones, they will forever, no matter how many times they try to get it fixed, will always have a hairline crack in their windshield.
Okay. All right.
Just little things like that.
Yeah.
Just little ghostly things. But I also, when I was thinking about that, I've been getting a lot of hate messages in my DMs, whether it's because of the show or things we put on Facebook, more than before. We've got over 9,000 followers now. We were at 5,000 before the inauguration, and with new fans and people who found us, we also have a lot of hate.
Right.
So now what I do is if someone slides into my DMs and calls me a liberal whore or a stupid slut, I dedicate 25 doors knocking in Wisconsin in their name. And I say that, let's say, I don't know, Adam Phillips asked me to come to your door, and and says that he really supports women who need abortion care or the rights of anyone who wants to express themselves. Yeah, so I dedicate.
All right,
I've been having fun with that.
Yeah,
it's petty Patty.
Yeah, all right.
So that's what I've been working on. It fits my character. I don't let things go.
No.
I think you and I have a little bit of that streak where we don't let things go.
Well,
I do and I don't. There's some stuff I let go.
Yeah, I remember things, but there's a lot that I forget.
Okay.
Just because it would drive me nuts.
Right.
Nuttier.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. I think I just, because it does more harm to me, I believe, to some degree. Sometimes people do things and I have images of, doing harm to them, but that is very, very, very rare. And I never do anything,
Right, in retaliation.
Yeah.
I demand accountability. For me, for the most part, I do my best. And that's why I think I needed to write the book, right? And some things I have to be careful with legally as to what, I have receipts for a lot of things, like a lot that happen, whether it's previous employers, people will text you things that they don't realize will. I have kept a lot of screenshots for the trial that I have in my head. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me show you this screenshot. But I also intend to use this for the book. At any rate, someone wrote, yes, use petty for the good. Yes, exactly. I appreciate that. Larry in Wheeling, so a lot of folks are going to, they're protesting at Tesla dealerships and things like that.
Right.
And he's very mad. He's, why would you want to hurt this car? Why He said that empathy was toxic, that we should not be empathetic.
Oh, yeah.
And then he wants people to feel bad for him because of this. And then, then folks are saying, do you believe in just, I don't support destroying property.
No, I don't either.
I think protests are fine. Although in France and now in Rome, apparently Tesla auto dealerships have burned.
Oh, they burned some, to the ground, yeah.
So, I mean, like, it's not who you think it is. It's like people around we have no friends anymore except for, like, Russia.
Right. And Russia's not a friend. Russia's just
his friend.
Right. No, that's what Trump thinks.
Right. And he says he's mad at him, which I think is just for show.
That's for show.
Yeah.
And then even if it better be for show, because if it's legit, he's going to wind up out of a window.
I mean.
You know?
You're not wrong.
Yeah. So they're going to get his mind right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I don't understand folks who are so I spent my entire childhood getting ready for a nuclear blast because of
you know
Russia.
what? Don't forget those. However you were getting preparing, Patty. Don't lose those lessons, because that might be coming back around.
I mean,
and then you're talking about. What are you talking about? We might have to take Greenland by force.
Right?
What are you talking about?
It's 59,000 people.
Yeah, and we're making Canada the 51st. What are you talking about? And now, hypothetically, if you were to take Greenland by force or attempted that, they're in NATO. Right. Or Canada's in NATO. Mm-hmm. So now the NATO alliances would be at war with the United States, its own member nation. So now you started a world war.
Mm-hmm. For what?
For what?
Well, because
you're a maniac.
Because of the minerals that they now apparently climate change is real, because as the Arctic caps are melting and exposes some of the land that they want to drill for.
Right. And then, so the United States is in a world war with its own members of NATO. So then he will say, you know what, we need help. Now we have to enlist Russia as an ally to fight these, because he would shape it as if the countries were just attacking us unprovoked.
Right. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I haven't even had a chance to talk to you about Signalgate, about Whiskey Leaks.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
What in the freaking frack?
Well, I mean, when you get all the worst people to work for you, with you.
I mean.
Yeah.
And there's but the incompetence is so glaring.
It's if it weren't so unfunny, it'd be funny.
Right.
Because they are comically inept.
Right. But these folks are still all in.
All in. And Trump's all in. I'm not firing anybody.
Right. But her emails.
Yeah. Oh, boy. So it's not been 100 days yet, right?
I don't know. It feels like 100 years.
It feels like 100 years.
It's so much.
And he's dismantling the country at Putin's behest.
Well, and with someone just texted for Putin and glorious mother Russia.
Right.
I mean, here's the thing. There are all these folks on my timeline, because now since I have conservatives chiming in on my page, please follow the Patti Vasquez show page, and please help me balance that out a little bit if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The Patti Vasquez show page on Facebook, and subscribe to Chicago Girl on Substack. I'll be releasing a new chapter tomorrow about my dad. But everyone's saying, oh, he saved us, $15 billion, $115 billion, and there's with no proof, and they're like, oh, all this fraud. Where's the charging documents? Well, it takes time. They say he's going to be out by May. So he says that he has like a limited contract, and he's going to be out of there.
Oh, Musk?
Yeah.
Who knows, man? They lie so much about everything.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow's a big deal. Tomorrow in Wisconsin, folks, if you live in Wisconsin or know someone who lives in Wisconsin, please remind them to vote. I hope that Debbie's right. She said she was feeling good about door knocking in Wisconsin. I had mixed results. I had one woman who says that she said that she was the only legal citizen in her house and still wasn't sure if she could vote for Susan Crawford for the Supreme Court of Wisconsin. And I was like, and she's like, I don't really follow the news very much. Okay.
Always that refrain. Well, like somebody said, you get the government you deserve.
Yeah, but we don't all deserve this.
We don't all deserve it.
This is the worst group project ever. Ever.
Yeah. I'd like to say I'm going to Canada, but then we might, Canada, oh boy.
I know. I'm still looking at Ireland and Russia. And did I say Russia? Mexico. I meant Mexico and Ireland.
Are you for real?
Yeah, we're looking at least I want to get dual citizenship for Griffin because Griffin is of draft age. Not to open up another can of worms, we got a letter from CPS saying that his information was compromised within CPS. That they didn't get. It wasn't financial. It was all basically race, gender, age kind of stuff. Meaning they're calling for military age men. So yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm just
Lord.
I'm just saying. It's fine. It's just fantastic. Where can folks find The
Napsalute Truth.
The Napsalute Truth.
On YouTube and Apple and is it Spotify? I'll get back to you with all the details, Patty.
The Napsalute Truth. NAP Salute.
Yes.
Truth. Dwayne will be back with us on Wednesday, and we look forward to having you back in studio. He'll also be in Chicago, April 25th at the Den Theater. Please hopefully I can go to that show. I'll just run over there after this.
Yeah, come by and say hey.
Come by and say hey.
Yeah.
I gotta save a seat. Save me a seat there, will you?
All right.
I can sit on the floor. I don't care. Just
come backstage.
Just kind of crouch in the corner or something.
Yeah.
Well, Dwayne, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We want to say really a lot of gratitude to our listeners. Around the world. I got a message that someone's listening in Canada. Some folks are listening in Canada. We will have Canadian musician Chris Jones will be here. Oh, thanks. Sorry. Let me do this. I didn't mean to do that. Let me do this one. Chris Jones will be in studio on Thursday, and you'll be here on Wednesday.
Is he driving here? Maybe I can go back with him.
No, he's flying. Oh. Definitely flying. Thank you so much for joining us, Dwayne, and look forward to seeing you again. Randy Rhodes is up next. We'll have Matt McNeil. Thank you, Lady B. Bye, everybody.